continuing. Pick one of these three. Oh, before we pick one, my morning class asked, how can you tell there's a vertical shift? Can anybody tell in these 6 which one has a vertical shift?
6.
So how can you tell? That was her question. How can you tell if there's a vertical shift? It goes up or down. Do you guys agree? When there's no vertical shift, your max and your min are just opposites. 1/2, -1/2, 1, -1. Right, because it's split on the x-axis. So if there's something like this, where it's not, there is a vertical shift. Can anybody tell me what the vertical shift is? Is it +4? Can you guys see that fake axis in there? All right, so I'm going to put that one aside. We're going to come over here. You guys okay if we work out number 4?
More than okay.
More than okay. All right. What's the amp?
2.
Good job. How did you know that?
Because the coordinate given for the point display is 3 pi -2, so you know that on the y-axis it has a -2 on one end, and because it sits evenly on the axis, you can infer that the maximum is 2.
That was a beautiful explanation. Did everybody understand that? Yes? You guys, were you listening? Yeah? All right.
It's just
Blown. All right, good job. Thank you. Okay, so everyone see how it's 2 and -2. Yes? All right. We're still using sign. Y equals +2 sine or -2 sine? +2. 2 sine. Will I have a vertical shift or horizontal shift?
No.
No. So all I have to worry about is finding b, correct? 2 pi over b equals the period length. Is the period length 3 pi?
No.
No. Okay. First key point, second key point, third, fourth, fifth. Can anybody kind of figure out the pattern on what these are increasing by, which would make this what?
4 pi.
Does everybody get that? Do you agree? That would be 1 pi. What was that?
I get that. I didn't expect me to get that.
Do you see how that's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, which would make this last key point 4 pi? Yes or no? Okay. 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, which would make that 4 pi. Okay. So you have enough. 2 pi over b equals 4 pi. I will let you solve that. Do your cross multiplying. Work it out.
Are there ones that are not easy?
Yeah. Of course.
I was hoping you'd say no.
All right, anybody finish finding b? What does b equal? What is it?
2.
Is it 2? I'm going to be careful on that one. Unfortunately, you know what? I'm going to do it over here. 2 pi over b equals 4. 2 pi equals 4b. Oh, 4b. And if I'm solving 4b, what do I divide by? 2? No, I'm solving for b. 4. And 2 pi over 4 is what? 1/2.
I think you didn't bring them out.
I didn't, somewhere.
You didn't bring them the pies, but when you brought
4
them,
is inside.
Thank you. Lost it somewhere. Thank you, guys.
I've got 2.
Pi, 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 and does it reduce? Okay, so what does b equal? So y equals 2 sine 1/2 x. And since there's no vertical shift or horizontal shift, that is it. Good. Questions? All right. Pick one from this section. No one?
One.
One? All right. Well, you know what? We'll do 7 and then we'll at least talk about these. Okay. Now, it's totally up to you. We can leave it in degrees or change it to radians. My last class and my last year's class chose to change it to radians. They said, oh, I don't like the degrees. I'm not used to it. Let's change it. Up to you. Change or leave. What would you most likely do on your own? Change it? All right. 270. Anybody know what 270 is? 3 pi. 2? Okay. And negative 450. If you don't remember, you do what? 450 times pi over 180 or 180 over pi? Because you want pi at the top. Good. Can I cross out the zeros and the degrees? What goes into 18 and 45? 9. So 18 becomes 2 and negative 45 becomes negative 5. So it becomes negative 5 pi over 2. All right. Now, because the max is 3 and the min's negative 3, is there a vertical shift? No. Is there a horizontal shift?
Yes.
If I am not starting at 0 and ending somewhere on the right, it has a horizontal shift. All right. Let's figure out our B as well. Actually, I'm going to set it up first. Y equals, it tells us here to use cosine. Is this positive cosine or negative?
Positive.
Upward cup shape. Amp is what? So y equals positive 3 cosine. Now I'm going to write this in pencil and I'm going to erase it. So if you're working in pen, don't write it with me. I'm going to put B parentheses. I'm going to go back and find the B later because the shift is pretty easy. How far to the left did I shift? How far to the left does my graph shift?
5 pi over 2.
5 pi over 2 to the left, yes? So what goes in here? Minus 5 pi over 2 or plus 5? Plus, why? Because it's always the opposite. Is there a vertical shift where I have to worry about a number out here? No? So what's the last thing I have to go back and do?
Find B.
Find B. 2 pi over B equals the period length. 2 pi over B equals the period length. Is the period length 3 pi over 2?
No.
It is not. What do you have to do? You have to do, good, 3 might, yes. He's saying subtract it, but ends up adding it, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so the right minus the left, your end minus your start, 3 pi over 2, take away negative 5 pi over 2, which ends up being what? 8 pi over 2, which is 4 pi. So 2 pi over B equals 4 pi. Go ahead and solve that. We did one like that already. If you remember the steps, that's fine. Do the work. Does everybody see how we got 4 pi for the period length? Right minus left. Solve for B. What does B equal? 1/2. So I'm going to erase this and put that in there. Okay, so what did I say earlier? Can you write the B on the inside if you want to? You can, but you're going to have to adjust this value here. So it's easiest if you leave the B where?
In front.
In front of the parentheses, on the outside of the parentheses, not distributed inwards. Right now you can distribute inwards if you wanted to, but it's easiest if you just leave it outside of the parentheses. Any questions? All right, we'll at least talk about these. This one here, what is going on? First off, is there a horizontal shift, right or left? Starts at 0, it ends at pi over 2. No, there's a period length shift or change, but no shift. What about vertical?
Well, yes.
How can, and that was a question that came up, how can you tell there's a vertical shift?
Well, 3 and 11 don't really see
Right. Your max and your man need to be opposites, or 3 and a negative 11 opposites.
No.
Okay. Anybody know how to find what the shift is? Yes.
I would put
Never
it
mind.
one way of
Add the
doing it.
absolute values of each number together and divide by 2.
Good, but no absolute values. What was that?
So, it's probably take a while, but you just go maybe 4 on top, then go negative 10 on bottom, then 5 on top, and negative 9 on bottom, and keep shifting it up.
Like
up,
shifting,
up,
but
until
this
you
would
get
be
them to
shifting
opposites.
downwards, right? So you'd go
Yeah.
down, down. So he's saying just keep counting in.
Yeah.
So 2, negative 10.
Until they become opposites, but that'd take too long, so there's obviously some
Okay,
kind
other way. All right, so he said it. Say what you said again one more time.
Add the 2 values, then divide by 2.
Good. So you do so there's a lot of memorizing here, like, well, it's not just memorizing, you're thinking the mathematics steps through. Period, right minus left. To find the vertical shift, he said you add the max and the min and cut it in half, and that is correct. What is that called? This has a name. You're looking for the
Midpoint?
midpoint. Good job. If you're looking for the midpoint, you add your values, you cut them in half. It's kind of like finding the average. What's 3 plus negative 11?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 cut in half. Negative 2. Nope, that's not right.
3 plus negative 1 is
of negative 8, right?
Yeah. Nope, that's not right. Negative 8. You guys were a step ahead of me. Negative 4. All right, so this is our shift. So y equals, is this positive or negative cosine? Positive. I'm going to have you guys find the amp. And you find it, whatever method you use. There's different methods to use. So find your amp.
7.
Check with your group members. Can you nudge him? What is it? 7? Can you nudge him, please? Can anybody explain how you got 7? Yes.
Before we were talking about the shift, I put back on the amplitude and just did 11 plus 3 is 7, and 14 divided by 2 is 7.
Okay, so when you raised your hand earlier and you said never mind, that's what you had found. Okay, so good job. He's using the definition of amplitude. Do you guys remember the definition of amplitude? And I told you back then, you should know it. You should know what it means. Amplitude, right here. Half the distance between the maximum value and the minimum value. So that's what he did. Half the distance between the maximum value and the minimum value. So if you take a look, what's the distance between 3 and negative 11?
14.
And it's 14 because you add them, right? And I think that's what you were saying with absolute values earlier. And if you add them and cut them in half, what do you get? Do you get the amp? All right. Now, did anybody just count negative 4 down to negative 11? Count it and find it 7? There's more than one right way to do it. Okay, cosine. And what's the amplitude? We just said it's what? 7? I'm sorry, I meant to say the B. We don't have that yet. So we will fill it in. B, X, and then what comes at the end? Plus 4 or minus 4?
Minus 4.
Minus 4. All right. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do we find the B? 2 pi over B equals what? Pi over 2. I'll let you guys do that on your own.
Sorry. Wait, I just want to make sure you don't have that right now. Right? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, what did you guys get? B equals what? 4. Make sense? Is that a yes?